Or sitting?
Yes.
So to get started, just tell us one sentence about yourself.
Bianca, I'm a professional printer, and I just see a lot of potential for wine in the industry, problem solving in the wine industry with blockchain.
I'm Dave. I've been in the wine for 5 years. And got into blockchain because one of my wine buddies sent me a proposal for someone who wanted to do a blockchain project. And I looked at it like, not this one, but the 50 something. That was one.
What is your like? What about the blockchain?
So for me, I think it was, kind of thinking about what potential is, right? Like it was, wasn't so rough. The wine industry is incredibly, it's actually one of the most decentralized states. There are 30,000. There's about 10 million individual women. And that's so it's one of the reasons that about every other big, there's been two big trends. One of them is consolidation, and the second is digital transformation, right? Like most big businesses have data, have intelligence, business intelligence, data. They're making decisions. The wine industry doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is what I thought was maybe blockchain is a solution to digital.
Very descriptive. A grand vision. I mean, we're building a base layer that we think every winery, every wine project, every wine club can build on top of. And so our grand vision is to kind of see if, like, say, disappear to the back for a month and basically become like Stripe.
Why did you choose?
So, I've been in the wine business for a long time. I had a kind of interesting path. I was first a tech guy, but I was in my early 20s, sold it, and then went and dumped it all into a vineyard and a winery in Argentina, which not great investment, but cool lifestyle, right? I spent 10 years there, and that kind of from there went to my projects in Asia and Spain, and have always kind of thought about active wine. Wine companies build for projects, CRM, like a bunch of different tech things. And what I keep for years and years, that wine is way bigger. So big number I'll throw out. The wine industry last year was about $485 billion. So a lot of big numbers. What is that? If you were to let's talk about discretionary spending. So if you take the entire entire film industry, global film industry, and the entire global television industry, and the global recording industry, the global publishing, the global video game industry, all of these discretionary spending, add them all together, they're still smaller than the one. People spend more money on wine than all of those other discretionary. So really, really big fact, about the same size as the global airline. So huge, right? But it's like, like I said, 30,000. So it's very different. We've been like a thing that's been struggling with for a long time. You're a beer manufacturer. So if you're a beer manufacturer, and you're the CMO of a beer company, you can basically from your desktop computer, you can like dive into the supply chain and see how much of your beer is sold at like the CVS on the corner yesterday. That's called a depletion report. And every manufacturer of beer or spirits, they get depletion reports every day. And they'll be able to tell you, like, on a quarter by quarter basis, this is how much of my beer was sold today. It's because first they got rolled up, right? So there aren't very many small beer companies, or there aren't very many small beer companies that sell international. So they all got rolled up. So they're only a few. And because of that, they were able to do.
So I'm going to jump in and explain how wine works and why that's what comparison. So my background is very much on the wine side. I got into blockchain and crypto 3 years ago. But the way the wine industry works and why it's so important is basically you have a producer that loses complete visibility about where their product goes at the first point of sale, right? So when they talk about beer, so different, and it's like the only industry in the world that we can think of is atomized and opaque. So wineries sell their product, it leaves the winery, rolls out the door, and their first point of sale is usually a broker or a negociant. After that, they have no idea where it goes. They usually travel through 5 points of the supply chain. And from there, investment grade wines, we're talking a lot about luxury wines. We're talking about big wines on chain at the beginning. And what happens then is those wines usually sell on the aftermarket 3 or 4 times. And by the time somebody actually pulls the cork, the winery has no idea who they are, how long their wine's been aged. Usually it's 15 years from that first point of sale until the cork is pulled. Insane. And the winery doesn't know who they are, where they are in the world, who they're drinking the wines with. So big difference to the beer business.
So I've been a business. So I would love to hear. I'd love to hear from you why blockchain.
So yeah, hopefully this is I'll tell you, when we started the Vice process, our first dollar of revenue, or I'm sorry, the time from when we paid our first dollar, spent our first dollar on basically getting an auction on some land, to the time when we paid our first dollar on wine that was grown on that property, it's 10 years. 10 years of pumping money in before you got your first dollar. Why this is pretty hard. And it's made even harder because there's no intelligence, no data. When you think about wine, like, or if you think about any other business, you're trying to make decisions. You're making decisions, whether it's product development, or marketing, or packaging, or messaging, supply chain, all of those things, you're making those decisions based on data. It would be insane to make those decisions based on, how you feel when you wake up. But in the wine industry, that's how it's. You don't have, you have no idea. Think about this. The most everything we buy, consumption and purchase are the same thing. Right? Buy a T-shirt, wear it the next day. Buy a car, you drive it off the lot. Buy an avocado, maybe 2 days, right? But eventually you're going to like the purchase of the consumption is the same thing. But with wine, it's 10 years. Typically made 10 years ago by somebody 10,000 miles away. So how do they make decisions? How do they know, like, what my product duration looks like? How much should I make of my first one, my second one, my third one? How should I distribute my resources? Should I change my marketing or messaging? Even when you think about supply chain, so everybody in this room knows about scarcity, right? Like scarcity is actually a big thing in wine because not only is it geographically important, you can only make so much wine on this much land every year, but it's also regulatory. You in France and Italy and even California, like you're only allowed to make a certain amount of wine, so it's limited. With beer, if like you send too much wine to some place or too much beer to one place in your supply chain, just make more, right? It gets expanded time to make more. But with wine, you send too much wine to Vietnam and not enough to South Korea, like that screws you for years and years. And without any visibility on what your consumption looks like, how do you make those decisions?
So how does the good solve this problem?
Well, we have some exciting things coming up. Let me let you go ahead and then I'll talk about the driver.
All right. So what we've done is we've developed a series of smart contracts that serve as a digital product passport for every bottle of wine. So one bottle, one is basically an NFT or it's a series of NFTs. So it's basically a deed of ownership that does a bunch of different things, provides transparency into a bunch of different things. First, into anti-fraud and anti-counterfeit. That's a big deal with wine. So providing a way for someone to say, okay, I know who owns this bottle, so I know if that bottle is fake or original. Also, partnered with a bunch of different hardware providers to put stickers or unbottled text, so you can see if the bottle is tampered with. There's also chain of custody, built the kind of beginnings of what will eventually be a DVin, so that the wine can be tracked all the way through the chain of custody from grape to glass. So from the winemaker all the way to the consumer. We've developed a little piece for provenance, so you can see, all right, has this bottle been kept by a trusted custodian? So like a winery or a bonded warehouse or Sotheby's or someone who's like a trusted custodian, or has it left, a trusted ecosystem? So now I don't trust that one. And then really cool, we built a system that for right now is a kind of a incentive-based voluntary system where you can actually burn your token. So say I open the bottle of wine, you can also pull the digital forth and destroy the token that represents that bottle, and that you get an incentive. It creates a new token for you. This is your authentic experience. You get rewards and status with the winemaker, kind of like airline miles, right? So you can, it's like a little piece of value for you, but it provides amazing data for the winemaker. Right now, the winemaker knows where that bottle is open, and opens it, they get customer acquisition, supply chain data, consumption data, like all of that. So that's the product in a nutshell. We've been working on it for 2+ years. We get a little sandbox, about 1,200 friends and family and folks that have been quite interested. And really excited about it.
Yeah, and the most exciting thing that we hope to announce today is the driver's input system. We're about to launch the first cryptocurrency ever built specifically for the luxury wine market. It's called Bitcoin. We're going to be launching on stage in Singapore with Solana at Breakpoints. And the really cool thing about Bitcoin is that it drives that sort of, what do you need to do when you're talking, especially to a wine native, to get them to adopt these new behaviors, right? Like, how do you get them to share the consumption data with the winery? You have to incentivize them. So Dave was talking about how are we solving this with DVin? So you have digital port, that is the digital product passport, for every single bottle of wine, you have this NFT. Now, that NFT, when you burn it, it turns into a tasting token so that you know what the names are called. So digital port, product passport, tasting token is it's basically like a POA, like a proof of experience that you tasted this wine, right? And every bottle comes with up to 12, so you could share them with all the people that you share the wine with. It's really cool because if you didn't buy the wine, you're still building status with that winemaker. But on top of that, in order for us to get people to adopt these behaviors, we want to incentivize them with Bitcoin. So the winemaker embeds Bitcoin into the NFT, into the bottle before it leaves the cellar. It travels through the supply chain. And by the time that person pulls the cork, when they say, "This is me, I drank your wine," they're sharing the consumption data. They're getting that Bitcoin basically out of the bottle. And they're also able to pass on more Bitcoin to all of the people that they drink the wine with. So it's a really interesting incentive system. And we've made a tasting token for tonight. So if anybody wants to, we can kind of onboard you onto the platform. Every token that we make tonight comes with 5,000 experience points that go towards a bin airdrop at the time of the TGE. So it's a fun little co-op that you were here tonight with us, and NFTGE, that'll be a great fun. On July 24th, we're going to launch a Drink to Earn campaign. So when you talk about the growth of the community, we're actually you. So we're doing a wine challenge that's really fun. We're calling it the DVin Wine Challenge or the Cellar Challenge. And anybody, you don't have to be a member of our Sandbox community, but anybody can tokenize 12 bottles of wine from homes. So you basically take a picture of the bottle, you upload it into the app, and we'll tokenize it for you, create a digital port. And every time you open a bottle, you're earning Bitcoin, you're earning points towards Bitcoin. And then when you share wine, earning Bitcoin. So Drink to Earn, it's going to be really fun. It launches on the 24th of July. Well, if you mint the token tonight, then we'll reach out to you and remind you when it begins. So I would just very much suggest that. Otherwise, look up DVin Labs and you'll find it all over all of our socials.
So how many people here are chargeable or less than one chargeable? Oh. And how many people here?
DGen?
So, look, we think that Bitcoin has what we call three demand cycles. The first one is really about loyalty. It's winemakers paying wine drinkers for data. So the winemaker says, I want to know where that bottle was opened, who opened it, who's drinking it, and I'm willing to pay Bitcoin. So that's going to create demand, right? The winemakers buy the Bitcoin, they give it to the drinkers when they open the bottle, and then the wine lovers can then take that Bitcoin and go back and buy more wine or pay for experience. That's the first demand cycle. The second one we call DVin, or really paying for a DVin. So when you think about wine, expensive wine that's like, $100 bottles, $200 bottles, it's really important that that wine is stored and transported correctly, the right temperature. Right now, there's no way, really, like you kind of have to trust that all of these little independent players are doing it right. So one of the things that we're doing in order to create demand for Bitcoin and also provide a real service is to create a DVin network where every bottle has a RFID sticker, maybe, or maybe it's some other technology. And then every time that bottle makes its way through the supply chain, a decentralized RFID interrogator can see that bottle and then post the location, temperature, and humidity of that bottle on chain. So by the time that the wine makes its way through the supply chain, then you can look at it and say, all right, I can see exactly where that bottle was spent, what the temperature and humidity was, so I know that the bottle was stored. Well, that's really interesting on one bottle, but we've already talked about the scientific industry. 2 billion bottles a year. And each of them stops, that's 5 or 6 different stops along the way. So if you really want to be able to track that wine through the supply chain, like there's real value in it for the restaurants and wine shops where if that bottle wasn't certified, they've got to end up getting billed, right? 1 out of 10 bottles ends up getting sent back to the restaurant, or getting brought back to the wine shop. Like it's a real cost. So if they can see that chain of custody, really helpful. And the third step is what we call DeFi. And that's really, I think, the most. So DeFi, the one is really said 30,000 independent users, 10 million, $100 billion. So the average transaction is in a normal industry. The average cross-border transaction is one Fortune 500 company buying $5 million worth of parts from another 5 Fortune 500. But in the wine industry, the average international transaction is a small winery in France sending 5 cases to a tiny importer in Norway, right? So that's not a $5 million transaction, $4,000 transaction, $2,000. But in that case, you've got your small importer. Well, first and foremost, 2 little players, you've got counterparty risk. Are you going to send me one? Are you going to send me one? Textbook scenario for a smart contract. But then you've also got your importer in Norway, tiny little company, has certainly not negotiated the best international wire fees with their bank. So they're paying the worst international wire. You've got the winemaker on the other side, because they're a little company, they probably haven't negotiated the best FX rates with their bank. They probably have 2, 3, 4 day cross-border kind of settlement delay. So when you think about just that one little transaction, lots of bank fees, tons of risk. Now take that one little transaction and multiply it 10 million times, 20 million times around the world every year. It's the exact perfect supply chain, it's the perfect ecosystem. It's a traditional supply chain moving funds. And that's really the long-term value for it. So when I say why is Bitcoin a good buy right now? Because we can save $12 billion a year and $100 billion. Not financial advice. That's man, lawyer. I just had a conversation with a lawyer.
So I think we have a time for about 2 questions. So
yeah, it's cool. So, okay, real quick, what does DVin stand for?
Decentralized wine.
Oh, I just called the whole W. Oh, y'all, that's what I
So
mean.
it is right.
Last question. Last question, no pressure, but you've been in the business for 20 plus years. How many years you been working over?
How many times have I been to work on over? I'm a professional. Like professionals don't go to work on over. I can there's no one in the room like.
Okay, so like, so if you use that number, the $400 billion, does that account for like the, I guess like the black market of wine, people just create that shit like that, so like that's a gin or.
No, because that doesn't include that. So the 485 billion is just wine that moves internationally.
How much shit?
Yeah, no, so it's wine that moves across the border, right? So 485 billion. It doesn't even include the little tiny you're about to.
So do you found the settlement layer between the wineries and international?
So we work closely with Deloitte Winery Solutions. So they're big audit and accounting company, but what they do with wine is mostly professional. So they install ERP systems, accounting systems, CRM systems into wineries all over the world. They work with about a third of the luxury wineries. They're our close partner. And the idea is to work with them, Amazon Managed Blockchain, Visa, and Fireblocks to build a full stack to go into wineries and to eventually be sold for front. We will be fully on Solana for break. When we launched, there wasn't.
So what is the value? So if you get everyone to or the follow on what is the value that creates to two? Some people do it and some people don't.
So the value is huge for winemakers, right? Because if you just do that little thing, I would love. That lets the winemaker know where and when that bottle is open. So that gives them really interesting data on like when my wine is being consumed, where. So that helps them with consumption data. It helps them with supply chain, and it also connects them with the consumer, which they don't have. So like that's incredibly valuable. The average customer acquisition cost in Napa $425 to acquire one customer. So we're letting them do it way cheaper. So, and you make a good point about what happens if your adoption rate is low, right? What if only a few? So how we're designing this right now is we're kind of taking that. Like, we sort of assume that relatively few people are going to do it and then more people. The data that gives the winemakers in the beginning, they're able to extrapolate that out, right? They'll be able to look at obviously the customer acquisition data. It's just one-on-one business. The consumption data and the supply chain data, they're going to have to extrapolate that out. So they'll learn.
So I guess sample size.
Exactly right. I mean, when we think about it in terms of Airmiles, so when they first launched Airmiles programs, they were actually called the frequent flyer program, and it's because it was really just frequent business flyers that used that collected miles because it was kind of a pain in the ass. You had to do it. You had to send your boarding pass into the airline, which was difficult. But over time, now everybody does it, right? Everyone's always collects all their miles for every flight. It's pretty easy. And the rewards are great. So we're looking at it like that. Like the stage that we're in right now, we're the frequent flyers. But 10 years from now, it'll be everybody. Because, especially for the luxury space, because the value will really outweigh the little bit of friction.
So like sit there and think about like target obviously future like we're probably focused on. Is there a certain like revenue size or production size question number one. Second is the more kind of like the war rewards. So like really the target is like the lower like those. Hey, I'm going to buy 3 bottles of wine. We got friends spend it. So like the points, we have a question. So I know that's two questions. One for you, one for you.
What was my name? One more time? Yeah. Oh, so
like what size does it make it hard to like?
So think about us like an MLS, right? We're going to provide the protocol to put any bottle of wine on chain. But we'll work with lots and lots of different, in fact, part of what we're doing with Bitcoin is having the ability to provide grants, loans, and investments to lots of different software developers, hardware manufacturers, systems integrators, to work with everyone from like the winemaker where it's like a guy and a goat to the wine sitting right next to it in the shop that's like a $500 million global industry. Different wineries are going to get different things out of it. We just want to be like the basic, right? We want to provide the very simple protocol with any bottle online, and then incentivize lots of different software manufacturers to create solutions for any different kind of winery I'm talking about.
Okay, so just about the point that talking about the guys who are buying the big bottles of wine, how they write down on their point. Well, it's not necessarily just about the point, it's about the status, because no kidding, it doesn't matter. Like if you got stupid money, you could probably, get your foot in the door somewhere through somebody else, but in investment grade luxury wines, impossible to get access. You've got to be on an allocation list for like 15 years, just waiting for a spot, right? Like these are allocations that have been going for generations.
After 10 years, you have to start. It's an additional 5.
Like if you wanted to go right now and buy Spring Eagle in California, you wouldn't be able to, you would not do it. You'd have to sign up by email and I mean, yeah.
The wineries. The wineries, 80 guys. Like the wineries want consumer. So like that, and like even if you buy wine, what you really want is to be like invited to the winery for a harvest experience, or like invited to a winemaker dinner, or you get to come and like do a barrel tasting at the winery. That's status. And I don't care how much money you have.
So you can prove when you've got like 15 tasting tokens from Spring Eagle, and you can walk into the winery and be like, hey, this is my authentic, verified proof that I had this many of your wines this year. Like, that's your status directly with the winemaker. That's what counts,
So
right?
basically, we take your phone numbers.
Speaking about it, let's talk about status. We have a celebrity here in the room, Player One Taco, and we're running short on time, so I want to give Player One the last question. Are you okay with that in 5 minutes? Great.
I have Player One Taco.
We're gonna divide.
We did. So what I'm hearing, and I know I'm completely wrong on this, but what I'm hearing is you're basically putting an air tag on every bottle of wine to sort of keep track of it and everything like that. What is your, and I'm sure you have a solution for it, but what is the privacy concerns of, I'm hearing you're opening up this bottle of wine and they know where it is and when. What is that privacy side of it? Because DVin is a huge infrastructure project, and Solana is a great partner for that. Helium's made some really good improvements on that, and I'm sure you have, but could you address that too?
Sure. So we're actually building into the protocol that location isn't done like to the 30 meters, done citywide. Like the winemaker doesn't really care if you're opening it at, Republic, or you're opening it somewhere in Manhattan. Like that, we're building into the protocol. And with regards to like personal data, like personal contact information, that's always on That's right. Everything is pretty strictly controlled. But really good points.
So each was thinking about right?
Yeah, nobody's come to me for a big token, right?
We are going to take presentation besides team, besides Belmont, in our conference room, we have two of the meeting live access artists in the room. Amy, the GP is doing some great things with all of these points and making this back in the room. And this is he is the godfather of all niche art. He is he has worked on Freebox, Nike, in Rolling Stone, and you've seen people use his artwork in which is some of his and you can see the documentary. Again, we'll be until 8:30 to do yourselves. Make sure you give yourself a handout. If you have any questions, my name is Julie. I'm the head of the events for Crypto Monday NYC. Parents masterminds how these for Crypto Mondays all around Island. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Somebody to our team.